Hey guys, welcome to the She Knows Arsenal call-in show. Let's just be honest, like the name is not great. I was just thinking I couldn't think of a good name for it, but it's essentially a show where fans will get an opportunity to come onto the show with us to talk about current Arsenal topics. So I promise I'll come up with a way better name for it and we'll work out the kinks and make sure it's a more regular type of thing. The first time I did it, you guys loved it. So what better thing to do than to do it during a really boring international break? So let's just go ahead and get started. All right. So today I have Gunnar Souls with me. Souls, how are you?
I am very as good as I can be, I'd say, with obviously everything going on, with the results of the weekend and everything. Yeah, I'm as good as I can be, you take it how it is. But no, how are you doing, Jess?
I'm good. I mean, I'm chilling. On to be honest, I'm happy that the international break is here. I know it's super boring because I mean, who wants to really watch these friendlies and stuff? But I needed a little bit of a break because I felt like Arsenal was a little intense. But here I am creating Arsenal content, so I'm just a glutton for pain, I guess. You know what I mean? So I'm not really getting away from it. But you guys, just really quick, I see that there's about 18 people watching right now. Don't be shy if you want to come on and talk to us about Arsenal and whatever topics we're talking about, feel free to come in. I will put the link in the chat soon. The rules are that you have to have your camera on, you have to have decent Wi-Fi and audio. Please make sure that we can hear you. Keep your answers short. Don't monopolize the conversation. Feel free to talk back and forth to each other, but don't be rude. No abuse will be tolerated on this stream whatsoever. None. You know, if you are abusive to anybody that's on with me or me myself, I will just completely cut you out, cut you off the stream, and ban you from my channel. So those are the rules. They're easy to follow. And the last and final rule is just have fun. So me and Souls are just going to start rolling on with the conversation, and we'll put the link in the stream. And whenever you guys are ready, pop on with us. I see that there's about 30 of you guys watching, so don't be scared. Come on down when you know you get your camera up and all that. So tell me a little bit about the news about Odegaard that we were talking about off air. You were saying the release clause, he wants to come. Let's just roll on.
Yeah, it's really firing up. Even from sources that I've heard myself, Odegaard, and he's been telling his representatives since he's come at the club, especially because of Arteta, he wants to play under him. And he's made that apparently clear that he wants to play under him because he believes in the sort of project and the sort of long-term goals he has set for the club. A lot of it's now coming down to whether he's intensifying the talks within the back room and between Arsenal and obviously, I mean, if a player is this good, Arsenal are going to have to consider him within the transfer plans. Arteta's come out and said that they've already identified nearly 4 to 5 transfers that they really want. So that to me shows that they're prepared. And I think Odegaard's step 1 of the 5 that they're looking to get in. But the only issue is we know what Real Madrid are. They are one of the biggest powerhouses in financial transfers in world football. They're the hardest club to negotiate with because in Spain, they have every player has a release clause. It's just part of La Liga's terms. And I believe his has been set at 310 million euros. That the release clause are always ridiculous. Like even some of the up-and-comers, like for example, if Saka was at a La Liga team, for example, he'd have one at like nearly 500 million euros. It's just, they say it's so high that it can never be met. That's the aim of it, especially since the Neymar transfer happened. They've kind of boosted it all the way up to 500 plus million euros. And that's the problem. I mean, if Odegaard continues the way he is, it's just adding to what they want. Because I believe when we first got him in, Real Madrid were willing to let him go for about 30 to 40 million euros. But that fee is going to come up to about 60 to 80 if he continues playing the way he is. But it all comes down to Zidane. If Zidane is still there, he's an Arsenal player. If Zidane is sacked or he leaves on mutual consent, then we've got a big problem. Then that transfer for me is written off because whoever comes in is going to want an Odegaard to build around.
Hey, Bulgarian Gooner. It's nice to see you again. How are you?
I'm fine. How are you guys doing?
Very
good. I'm good. So we're just talking a little bit about Odegaard and what our chances are of getting him. For you, how important is it to get Odegaard in on a permanent? You know, he's really kind of falling in love with the club, and I think the club is falling in love with him. Are you worried about us not being able to get him? What are your thoughts on it?
I think it's important to strengthen the number 10 position in the summer, whether that's Odegaard or someone else. We shall see, but preferably we should go for Odegaard because he's settled. Everyone likes to play with him, it seems. To be honest, he reminds me a little bit of a younger version of Ozil. I don't know about you guys, but he has the talent, and in his younger days, Ozil had a little bit of that attitude, the young, hungry one. You know, he reminds me of that.
I think I do agree with that, but to me, when I saw him playing against, when we were playing against West Ham, I saw Cesc Fabregas. That's what I saw. I know that, you know, Cesc obviously was a prodigy, but so is he. And Cesc used to be because at the time that he was at the club, especially like once all the Invincible left, he was always the one pulling the team, you know, even from bad positions. And as much as I rate Ozil for the type of talent that he had, he was never a leader in my mind. Odegaard has more of a leadership aspect to him, and Cesc always had that. Of course, you know, you could question whether or not, you know, if he left the right way and things like that. But when he was into Arsenal and he was the captain, he led by example. And so as much as I see Ozil, I see Cesc as well. And Cesc being one of my favorite Arsenal players of all time, I can't be any happier. I'm just afraid that we may not get it over the line. You know, Souls, do you see Cesc? Do you see Ozil? Do you see any comparisons to players?
I'm going to go wayward on this one because I don't see an Arsenal player in him. I see one of the biggest Barcelona legends in Iniesta. I see a very Iniesta-esque player. Not in the sense that he's a number 10. I know Iniesta wasn't a number 10, but it's just the way he conducts himself and the way he kind of carries himself as a player. Iniesta was that type of player who could take on a man. He could take a few people on, and I see that in Odegaard. Even the stats against West Ham showed that he had the most take-ons from any player out of both teams. He's got this sort of vision about him. He knows the pass he's going to make before he's... sorry, I just seen a comment there. But yeah, no, I seen obviously the passes he can make, the way he can unlock a defense. It's just brilliant. Like, to see him, I see a lot of Iniesta more than I see an Arsenal player. There isn't really an Arsenal player I see in him. He's got traits of many Arsenal players, but just I don't think he's one Arsenal player. He's got traits of Bergkamp. He's got the leadership of a Cesc. I wouldn't say as far as Vieira because I don't think he does, but he's got like the leadership style of Cesc where it's more on the pitch what he does and the way he kind of like orchestrates the way the players want to move. And then I see kind of the ability of like the Bergkamp's passing ability and his vision to kind of see the game before it happens. But then I also see an element of like a Robert Perez where he's got a goal for him. Like, he can score a goal from anywhere, in the box, outside the box, and his technical free kick ability is beyond what we've seen. And that's the reason why Odegaard is so loved, is he's everything we've needed for about 17 years. And that's the problem, because we've never replaced a Bergkamp. We haven't replaced the likes of Vieira. That when those players come in, we feel so attached because we're seeing what made us so good and what made us fall in love with the club in the first place. So that's the way I see it. I don't see one Arsenal player in him. That's the problem. I can't pin it down. And that's why we're going to say Ozil. That's why we're going to say Fabregas. That's why we're going to say this. Because he's a bit of everything. I'm not saying he's better than all of them put together, but he's just everything of theirs, good qualities, put into one player.
Do we have good enough players around him? Sometimes I think that, you know, it's nice to have good players like this in our team, but is there anybody in our squad at the moment that's on his wavelength? I mean, he's world-class level-ish type of player, and I'm not sure that we have the right types of players around him for us to get the most out of him as well. That's always been a problem with Arsenal in the past, that we've had world-class players and we haven't been able to put the right caliber of players and right profiles around them. Is there any players that come to mind in the Arsenal squad at the moment that are on his level or could get to his level? What do you guys think?
I'll let you go first, Bulgarian, if you want.
I think he combines well with Laka. He's a 10. He's a creator. Even Oba, I think, can thrive off of that. I know Oba is not in good form, but on paper, Odegaard or Odegaard, whatever you call his name, he should be thriving with Odegaard in the team. Behind him, obviously, Thomas Partey is another one. Kieran Tierney on the left. It's a whole other subject, I think, whether we have world-class players now. I don't know about you guys, but it seems to me the fan base is split in the sense that there are those who accept that this is a process, and when Arteta took over, me and like-minded people knew that this will take time. It takes time, and it will take even more time to build something. But I see some impatient people expecting results now. I don't know where you guys sit on this, but to me it seems a little bit the fan base is split in that. Those that accept that this is a process and it will take time, and those who demand a little bit results faster to come.
So, what do you think about, do we have the players, and also what Bulgarian is saying, that it's going to be a process and we need to be patient? I know you have strong feelings on this.
Yeah, no, 100%. I agree. It's something which is going to take time, because 17 years of mess that we've got to kind of, solve. I've always used the sort of analogy of, when you're a kid, and I guess people who bite their nails, try changing that. Try stop biting your nails now. Like, forever. It's not going to happen. You're going to relapse and you're going to kind of come back into old habits. That's just what happens. It's not a knock on any manager. It's not a knock on Wenger. This is just something which for 17 years, we became a retirement home for many players. They came in knowing that this is a chill. Aubameyang's got that mindset right now. But Arteta's not allowing that. That's why I do like what he's doing. But when it comes to whether people are on the same wavelength of Odegaard, we're getting there. We are getting players in, and we've seen even the youngsters seem to have that wavelength of knowing what Odegaard's a player who, he fascinates me every time I watch him play La Liga, whether it was in the Danish league. He fascinated me as a player. I've been watching the guy since he was 16 because he was linked to Barcelona, and I was like, I want to see what this guy's all about, because he's got a lot of hype behind him. And every time I've seen him, I'm like, this guy's going places. I tell you, if he becomes a top 3 Ballon d'Or contender, I would not be surprised, because he's that good. And I'm telling you, to the Arsenal fan base, this is a percentage of what he can offer. And when we start to build teams and players around this man, you will honestly get a world-class dominating team, because the way he can find a pass is once in a lifetime. There's only very little players who can do that. Their knowledge of the game and stringing past. It was like when he played Pepe through. Everyone was looking at the screen and saying Tierney, but no, he played Pepe. Players who remind me that can do that. Your Xavis, your Iniestas, your Messis, your Pirlos. These are generational players. Your sort of Clarence Seedorfs, your Zidanes. I'm not saying he'll be at their heights, but he definitely has the ability and the qualities to get there. The issue that you have is the players around at the moment, because obviously, look, Odegaard's come in. He's a different type of player. Even the players are shocked. They're like, actually, crap, that's where we've always wanted the ball. But they've just, because it's been like a muscle memory thing, we've never received it there. So they're getting into it. Now we're starting to see what Odegaard's really doing. You look at Saka, he's good enough. Lacazette seems to know what he wants to do. Even when he plays with Smith Rowe at times, they seem to have this sort of weird connection, and they seem to play very well. But the one thing that I am going to say, Partey allows Odegaard to do what he wants. That's the problem. When people bash Ozil, that's what he's never had. He's never had a Partey behind him. Partey is instrumental, and there's a lot. Not even I've given him a bit of stick because I think there's a few things that really annoy me. Like in the Spurs game, he was just giving useless free kicks away that were putting us under more pressure than we needed to. But look, that's with time he will get better because it's the pace of the league he needs to get adjusted to. But in terms of like, oh yes, because Cedric and Chambers, they've kind of got a. I'm not saying they're world-class players, but they're on that wavelength of understanding where Odegaard wants them to be. But the good thing about Odegaard is every time you see him, he'll be like this. You go here, you go here. Like, that's what you need. That's what Ozil never did. He never told players where I'm going to play you and then pick that one pass out. The defenders know what he's going to do, but you can't stop him because he's that good. So, yeah, I'm just waiting to see what those 4 or 5 players are, because if he can bring in the likes of Basuma, who we're heavily linked with, I'll be very excited. I'll be very excited if he could bring in the Lampteys or even Hakimi. I know Kevin's a massive fan of Hakimi. I will get into Hakimi later on. And the other ones seem to be a little bit more quiet in terms of obviously backup left backs and stuff like that. But yeah, no, I'm excited with what I see. And if we can get Odegaard, we need to sign him at all costs. If we can get a fundraiser for a fan base, I'm sure we'll all contribute and raise the funds if we have to.
You guys, Albert's here. I'm going to add him in. Hey, Albert. How are you?
This is the latest ever arrival I've ever come for any stream.
All right.
Just because it's you, right? I thought, I'm in the car, right? I pulled up. I thought, you know what? Let me give her some time, man. I have to do that.
Perfect. So we're just talking about Odegaard, and honestly, like, what I'm pretty much thinking at this point is do well for the rest of the season and hope that he'll stay. You know, I was looking back at the Leicester game when he came in for ESR, and that was just a couple weeks ago. He's completely different from then, and I thought he was good then. You know, that, like Sol said, that muscle memory is insane for him. Like, I thought it was going to take him longer to adapt. It's actually not taking him that long, and he's showing his quality. Albert, what do you think about Odegaard, our chances of keeping him? Are you desperate to keep him? Do you think there's other options? We'll get into that too, because people in the comments are asking, what are their options if he doesn't come? And who do we need to put around him so that he thrives? You know, what do you think, Albert?
Well, that's a loaded question, man. Let me try and answer the best as I can. Big up to the guys in the chat, by the way. Can you hear me all right?
Yes.
Okay, cool. No, you see with Odegaard, right? I'll be honest, and I said this to Souls. Souls knows this. Like, I'm not one of them people that was sort of gonna start saying, yeah, I know who this kid is and he's fantastic or he's rubbish, because I didn't know anything about it. So, okay, you know what? Let me do my homework. Let's see this guy actually play. Give him some minutes, and then, because I'm not gonna go by YouTube clips. I've banned that from my vocabulary. So I thought, you know what, this guy's a silky operator, man. Reason goes in between the lines, pass eye through a needle. Actually has a shot as well, which is completely unsurprising in an Arsenal midfield, believe me. But yeah, I've been very, very impressed, Jess, to be honest with you. And I saw a little, not rumblings, but on Twitter sort of the last few days talking about, we shouldn't sign him. And I'm thinking, but who's the other options? There are options, but can Arsenal afford them? So, you know what, if Arsenal want to sort of, you know, be serious, because this guy's done very, very well in a short space of time with very limited football. The guy's hardly played any minutes before he came to Arsenal, but from what you've seen, he's even surpassed what I thought he could be, even going by YouTube clips. But you can see why people got excited, because he was the type of player that we don't have. And when you can make your team and squad better, when you don't have the profile of player that we need in order to go up to the higher echelons, then Arsenal need to get serious and just test the waters and put the money down, man. I don't know what, 40 million or whatever. Just see if you can try it and get him. The Arsenal fans will not complain if we can see the club making the effort to try and get this talent. If we can't get him, we can't get him, Jess. But make the bloody effort to go and do it.
Yeah, for sure. I think that's important, is to at least show the fans that we're serious and this is a player that we want to get in. But we have 2 newcomers in our chat today. Anthony's here from Republic of Arsenal. How are you?
Yeah, doing good. Yes, fashionably late as always. Thanks for the invite there. Sorry, I was a little bit unprepared. I was watching on my phone that time, so I had to get the laptop started. And the lads will tell you I'm living in the Stone Age with my internet connection, and so yeah.
Is your hamster running? Yeah, otherwise you might not go out. If he stops running, then
that was the problem. I had to catch the hamster first.
No problem, no problem. DJ Harry's here as well. Hey Harry, how are you?
I'm good, thanks. I said yesterday I'll have a few days off talking Arsenal, but it's too addictive.
I knew you were lying.
Addictive.
That's why I sent you the link anyway. I was like, he's coming, he'll come. But yeah, you guys, we're just kind of talking about Arsenal, a real laid back conversation. You guys, if you want to join the conversation, please feel free to do so. I just put the link in the chat. The only rules are that your camera must be on. You have to have good Wi-Fi and audio so that we can hear you, and keep it short. Let's not monopolize the conversation, and no abuse will be allowed on this stream whatsoever. So if you abuse anybody on here, you're out. And have fun, so anybody that wants to be a part of it, go ahead and join us. But Anthony, I'm going to come to you. Are there any other options that you can think of for the summer if we don't get Odegaard in? Or do we just kind of stick with Smith Rowe and make it work? Or do you have any other options in your mind that you're thinking of that would be more feasible for Arsenal in the summer, especially if we don't get European competition?
I definitely think we do need another option to Smith Rowe. Excuse me. I think even when Smith Rowe was the only option, a couple of people were against bringing in Odegaard in case it maybe kind of stunted his development, limited his time in the squad. But I think it's essential that, a guy of Smith Rowe's age, he cannot play every single game. And as much as he does need minutes, we can't overdo it. We've done it in the past with players, Jack Wilshere, I think, being the best example. I think Jack Wilshere's first season, he played 40, 50 games. And after that, we could hardly get, a string of games out of him and it completely destroyed him. So definitely we do need another option for Smith Rowe. Whether or not that's going to be Odegaard, it's hard to say. I think it depends. It's a little bit of a catch-22 at the minute because the better he does, the more excited we are, and the more we want to invest, the more we want to hang on to him. But at the same time, maybe the better he does, Real Madrid probably have an eye on it and saying, actually, you know what, we can probably bump up the price here a little bit because now he's become an integral part of their side. He's become key to how they click, and then they can turn around and sort of say, well, now we know you need to keep this guy, especially if he can make the difference between us, getting European football next season. They're going to look at that and say, right, we have these guys over a barrel now, and 40 million could easily become 60 million, So at the moment, I'm trying not to get too over invested in Odegaard. It's still very early days. I am excited about Odegaard. But yeah, like Albert was saying, I'd be lying if I didn't have previous experience of him was kind of like that YouTube clips. I don't watch a lot of La Liga. I knew of Odegaard and I knew of the potential that surrounded his name. But again, I'd be completely lying if I said I watched him play for Sociedad the whole time. So all I've had to go off of is the handful of games in an Arsenal shirt, and what I've seen early days I like, and I definitely think it can become more, and he can become an integral part of the team. If the price tag 40 million is not crazy by any means, for a player of talent, because 40, 50 million nearly seems to be the starting price, for somebody who's just coming through the ranks. If you take William Saliba, for example, I think he cost us 27, 30 million. And, basically all we had to go off of was a handful of YouTube clips. Again, I think the majority of people that were ranting and raving about how good he was, I don't think I'd actually watched him play. I think it's just, he was new, he was shiny, and it's something, we all want.
News articles and a lot of people saying he's the next Varane. That got people. I don't watch League One, so I'm not really going to judge. That's why I've still not judged Saliba, because I don't really know how good he actually is.
Exactly, and like how many of the people that are still saying, you know, he should be in our starting lineup next season. How many people have even actually watched him since he's gone out on loan? You know, I think a lot of people are just, we always want the thing that we can't have, or the thing that isn't available, and it's automatically better than the options we have. And I think that goes for a lot of positions.
Yeah.
I know that's slightly going off point there, but just in comparison to, you know, price tags and that, I definitely don't think 40 million nowadays is crazy money. And I kind of use Dani Ceballos as an example as well. If the club were considering hanging on to Dani Ceballos and are willing to spend the reported 22, 23 million, I definitely think it'd be worthwhile saving that money and put that towards Odegaard. You know, because surely, you know, at the end of the season, we could be selling, you know, Willock, Maitland-Niles, guys like that.
Yeah,
exactly.
Just quickly on Odegaard, I think we've been a victim of poor contract negotiations for many years, and we've seen us, you know, had our pants pulled down, for want of a better word, when it comes to, you know, selling players on the cheap because they won't sign a contract. Now, Odegaard's contract expires in 2023. It seems like he's not happy at Madrid, so it seems that he won't sign a contract extension. So if they offer it to him in the summer, Arteta might say, look, reject that contract extension. They'll have to sell you because they're not going to want to lose you next year on a free. And for every extra month he stays, whilst his contract length at Real Madrid dwindles down, his value would also drop. So even if he does continue playing well, his value won't go past 35, 40 million because he'll just say no to that Madrid contract, and then they'll have to sell him. So I'm hearing that there'll be an obligation to buy with a loan deal of around a loan deal with an obligation to buy of around 35 to 40 million. So I think we're in a really good situation just based on his contract at Real Madrid. Had he been on a 4-year contract from now, then it'd be totally different. But the longer it goes on at Arsenal, the more he enjoys it, the more he likes the way we play it, which it seems like he does. He seems to get on with everyone. I think that will just increase his desire to stay at Arsenal, and then he'll reject that Madrid contract, and then we can go and get a really good deal. So I think that's a really strong possibility.
Yeah, just to add on what Harry said, it's vital that we keep Arteta, especially for the now. The reason being is the players that we want to keep and we want to keep playing, they've all come out in solidarity and said we're playing for Arteta. This is why I can't call him out, and I can't say, look, because your likes of Martinelli's haven't come out. Your likes of like Aubameyang hasn't criticised, you know, even after all the treatment he's had. But in terms of the question, I have actually got 2 players in mind. I'm going to put my neck on the line. I believe we're going to get Odegaard. Yeah, I'm genuinely confident we'll sign Odegaard. In whatever way we do it, whether it's a year on and then we get him permanently, I do believe he'll be an Arsenal player in the long-term future. But if for some bizarre reason that doesn't happen, there are 2 players in my mind that I've seen and I'm like, you know what? I like the likes of these. It's Florian Wirtz for Leverkusen, and I like the likes of Ricky Puig at Barcelona. Even you know, with Partey's sort of partner, I'm liking the likes of Mariba at Barcelona as well. They're sort of young and up-and-coming players, and I feel like Arteta would like as well. But the reason why I've never really looked into it is because I'm fairly confident this Odegaard deal will happen because Zidane doesn't rate him one bit. Like, he doesn't want him. He doesn't want him in his plans. He doesn't want him part of his team for some reason. I'm not sure what the reasons behind it are, but that's why I've not looked into it too much, because I'm confident Odegaard's happening. I'm telling you, like, I've not been confident about a signing because of literally what Harry's been saying. Firstly, he's not got a long-term commitment to the club. Secondly, he's never really wanted to be there. He's not really trusted the Madrid process. He's never trusted. He's not liked the way the club treated him. And then even if they do,
he also spoke about like development, you know, and stability. And you can't get that at a club like Real Madrid. You're not going to get the chance to develop. You know, we may not want to hear it, but at 22 years old, Odegaard might be looking for a stepping stone. And kind of where we are right now, I can see us as a good place for him to develop with other young players like Saka and Emile Smith-Rowe and things like that. Maybe if we were to improve enough, we wouldn't look at ourselves like a stepping stone. But under Arteta and kind of where we are right now, it would be a good place for him to develop. Any of the bigger teams, you don't get that grace. You don't have time, you know, to learn your trade and all that kind of stuff. So I think we would be a good place for him. But I'm seeing names like, I think his name is like Michael Elise. He's in the championship, I believe, or in a lower league. Buendia, you know, do any of these names sound interesting to you guys, or are we all in on Odegaard? I feel like there has to be somebody else out there.
Sorry, Jay. Now, with the Odegaard thing, just quickly, it's like I said when you sort of came to me, like my thoughts on it. If Arsenal need to act, they need to act now, because you've got the Euros coming up as well. And I know we talk about value, and listen, the vultures will come sniffing, man. So if Arsenal are going to act, they need to act now and don't wait, because if we can get him, like I said, it'd be fantastic. But in terms of the other options, Jess, yeah, Buendia is a good shout. I have to do my homework on the other guy you just mentioned. But there are options out there, but the issue you're going to have is with Arsenal, obviously, we don't have too much trust in the board sort of getting the right, the right recruitment in, or back in the manager, should I say. But I think that comes with sort of, the change in the hierarchy, should I say. Well, should I say hierarchy? But, the three main positions at Arsenal, obviously Arteta, Edu, and Vinay, and they're all inexperienced, man. So that does play a factor. I mean, as much as fans, we want Arsenal to get the right recruitment. We've had systemic problems for years, man. So hopefully,
I agree with what you're saying, but in the same respect, and I've said this quite a lot, in the recent windows, in our 2 recent windows, they've addressed issues that we've been calling out for years. So even if they are inexperienced, they've said, we need a centre-back, we need a centre-mid. They saw that the goalkeeper situation wasn't good enough after they sold Martinez. They addressed that with Matt Ryan. They tried to get a backup left-back. Okay, it didn't happen. They knew that we needed a number 10 once Ozil went, so they got Odegaard. So I get that, but I'm fearful that we sometimes tarnish them with the old brush. I think if we look at our transfer direction or dealing since Arteta's come in, I think it's improved drastically. So I'm convinced that this next window will see all of those additions that we want. The quality will depend on where we finish in the league and what money we can offer because of European football.
I'm not tarnishing it. What I'm saying, mate, is that the fact that I think for some Arsenal fans who want sort of the players that they want to come in, you might not necessarily get what you want, but at the same time, you have to bear that in mind, because, like I said, there are 3 prominent positions at the club, and they can't work miracles in 2 windows or 1 window. There's a lot of issues here at this club, man.
You guys, really quick, we have some others coming in, so I'm going to drop a couple of you guys out to get other people in. Bulgarian, will you stay in the chat? Talk to us a little bit longer. I'm going to drop you out, okay? All right. Thank you so much for being here, though. We always love having you here. So we'll talk to you soon, okay?
Jess, I'm going to shoot. Drop me out as well, then. I'm going to shoot.
All right. Thank you, Albert. I'll see you soon.
Cool. Take care, brothers.
Hey, bro. Take care.
All right. We got... It's moving so fast. Tino. Hey, Tino. I don't think I've ever met you before. How are you?
You all right, guys? No, it's my first time on here, so I'm all good.
Well, welcome.
Hey,
and we also have Tanner. We all know Tanner. So we don't have to give
What's up, guys? How we doing?
We don't have to give him a good welcome or anything. Just whatever.
I don't need a good welcome. That's fine. That's fine.
And we have somebody else.
Give me the easy questions, and that's it. So.
All right. And Anthony, do you want to hang out in the chat for a little bit? And yeah, because I see you.
I'm having. I think I'm having some connection problems
because
it's kind of the hamster got away again. So yeah, look, feel free to boot me out and get somebody in that's able to contribute. That's no problem. But no, thanks for letting me come on anyway.
All right, no problem. Thank you for coming. I'll see you later. Lads. Bye. All right, and we have the Gunner Express. Hey.
Hi, how you doing?
I'm good. How are you doing?
No, I'm doing good.
Okay, awesome. So we were just talking about options and some recruitment for the summer. I kind of want to move off of, potential Odegaard replacements if we can't keep him, because we're all kind of hoping that we are able to keep him. But who do we see as the potential, partner for Thomas Partey? I know some people are looking at, what we did against West Ham towards the end of the game with Emile Smith-Rowe as maybe, maybe we want to see Thomas sitting deep and having more of an attacking 8, maybe somebody like a Waugh come in, or maybe we want to have somebody more defensive like Basuma. Gunnar Express, what are you thinking? What do you think is the right type of partner for Thomas Partey?
I mean, yeah, Basuma's definitely one of the top options, obviously, in terms of availability. If Brighton get relegated, he's going to obviously become much cheaper than he will be if he's still in the Premier League. But I think there's definitely a few other options out there. Obviously, Basuma has been good at a Premier League level for a few years, but we're Arsenal. We need a partner for Thomas Partey. So I'm thinking someone maybe a bit higher class. I'm looking at a Dennis Zakaria from Gladbach. He's been on a lot of top teams lists for quite a few years, and I think he's overall a very solid player. He can also play centre back, which is good, obviously, if we need that backup. And I think either Basuma or Zakaria would be probably the best options.
What do you think, Harry?
Yeah, I like Basuma. I haven't seen much of the guy Gunnar Express just mentioned, but I saw someone put a comment there about Sanderberg. I really like him as well. I think he's really underrated, and he's an absolute athlete as well. A beast in the middle. I think for me, I'll always go for someone who's played in the Premier League over someone who hasn't. I just think the transition's so much easier. You can literally, if you sign Basuma, there's no bedding in period. He can just come in straight away. So I like the idea of that. And as Gunnar Express mentioned, we might be able to get him on a cheaper fee. Though I do wonder if transfer budget is an issue, if Arteta will see other areas on the pitch as more of a priority, i.e. right back, i.e. securing a number 10, potentially a centre forward if the striker situation changes. We need a left back. So I do wonder if we actually do see someone like Torreira and maybe a rejuvenated Guendouzi come back instead, and we go with that, that midfield 4 of Partey and Xhaka and the other 2 coming in. I just think it's something to consider because there's a lot of areas that need addressing, and they all seem just as important as others at the moment. And I know that's not me banging my Granit Xhaka drum.
I was just about to say that's where you're going with that.
Even though I do think he could do a job in there with Partey, it's clearly that it's not at the elite level. But I do think that with a stronger right back and a stronger centre forward, maybe a stronger left midfielder, and Odegaard on a permanent. I think if you fix all of those areas, you'll be able to get by in centre mid. So yeah, I'm unsure, but maybe I am banging my Xhaka drum without me even knowing it. I think
You're biased. Tino, what do you think about this whole, what is the priority for the summer? I'm kind of thinking like Bulgarian Gunnar here, like splashing 80 million on Odegaard and Basuma seems far-fetched for me. So if we go after Odegaard, I think whoever we get for Thomas Partey's partner, if we do, is going to be more of like a Sanderberg, somebody that's a little bit more low-key, maybe off of a relegation side that is not going to cost as much because Brighton is going to rinse whoever for Basuma. It's going to be 40 million and above. What are you thinking in terms of the summer, Tino?
See, before I was thinking of Basuma, but then I think as soon as towards the last 20 minutes of the game on the weekend, when I seen what he did as a 4-3-3 with the Smith-Rowe, I think, and you look at the links last year, how we're linked with Hassan, Aouar, etc. I'm thinking Arteta's probably looking to move to that system. So I think Xhaka is obviously going to stay. And I don't think he'll get, because Basuma will probably be on the bench to replace Partey and share minutes with Partey. So I'm thinking he's probably look for a guy like Aouar. In terms of the type of player, because it's like Odegaard came out of blue. So what I've noticed recently with Arteta's signings and Edu signings, the people who us fans think they're going to bring in, they usually bring in opposite. So I'm looking at a more attacking number 8, so an Aouar, Bernardo Silva type of player who I think he'll transition to a 4-3-3 and scrap the 4-2-3-1 formation that we've been playing so far. Because looking at that formation is good, but we're not dictating games, and he wants players where we'll dictate possession, dictate the ball, and dominate for longer periods, because we seem to be playing in halves at the minute. So we'll have a good 30-minute spell, and then a bad 30-minute spell, and then a good 30-minute spell. So looking at the way City play, that's how I'm seeing what Arteta is doing. That's how I feel he's going that way. So he's probably going to look for a more ball-minded attacking number 8 to complement Odegaard in a 4-3-3, and also Partey can do the job himself. As the end, I think Clive on Arsenal Vision podcast mentioned, it was like Xhaka was giving the mantle to Partey and say, "This is your midfield now." So I don't know the player. I think they're going to look for a Hussein Aouar type of player to complement the midfield, and right back is priority as well.
Can I just
That's a good
say
point.
something?
Yeah, go ahead, Souls.
I don't think Partey is a good defensive midfielder, and I know that's going to shock a lot of people. But
Well, he's not a defensive midfielder.
Yeah, and
period.
that's my issue. That's why I think what Arteta's going to do is go for a DM, a solid out and out defensive minded midfielder. I'm quite surprised no one's saying Anguissa. I've been very impressed with what he's doing at Fulham. He's going to be very cheap if Basuma's not an option, because Basuma's on the radar of United. United are really, really going to go in for him, even though they don't. They don't seem like the favourites, but trust me, I know a lot of people who do the negotiation for United. They've already kind of going to have a back-end deal in this. The only way it's going to come out is if we blow out whatever fee United are willing to pay. I just think what he wants to do is bring Partey as that number 8, as in go box to box, be that player who can come in, help the defensive side of the game, but then bomb forward, because he's a ball carrier. That's what I see him as. I don't see him as a DM. I don't think he's a good DM, and that's not me criticizing his game. He can definitely tackle. He can definitely do it. But, you know, when I look at a defensive midfielder, I look at an Ndidi. That's my sort of defensive midfielder. I know he's going to be a very far-fetched signing. Maybe if we weren't trying to get too many players. If the rebuild was done and we didn't need to go for 4 or 5 players, we might have seen Ndidi being the signing of the summer. But unfortunately, that's not the place we're in. We need too many players to go for Ndidi, secure an Odegaard, and go for everything else that we need in the team. But in terms of what...
Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, go.
I was just going to say, like, if you look at, and I hate to keep referring back to them, but I think that this is the template that Arteta is going to use to a certain extent, at least loosely, is Man City. Sometimes they play with a pivot. Sometimes they play with one lone DM. It depends on who the opposition is. So if we do want to play with one CDM, it probably won't be Thomas Partey, like Souls is saying. You know, we saw kind of like a fake version of it when we were going after the game, but that's because Arteta was desperate to try to get all 3 points. You know, in reality, that's going to be somebody more like Basuma or an Anguissa, as you've already said. And then maybe it's an option of either you play Thomas Partey and Odegaard, or you play Odegaard and a Aouar. Depending on who you're playing, you might need, you know, a box-to-box more like Thomas, or you may need 2 more technical players. It's just, we're going to have more options. It just depends on what Arteta thinks is more important and what opportunities come in the market. Sometimes what you do is dictated by the opportunities that arise. You know, if we can't get something done for Basuma and something happens at Lyon and, you know, maybe Aouar is cheaper, we may go after an Aouar, you know, instead of a more defensive center midfielder. It just depends on the opportunities. I can see us doing different types of deals that will completely confuse the fan base, because I think we're all assuming that Arteta wants to do one thing, but I think he wants to have a very flexible group of players so that he can have different looks for different opposition. That makes sense.
Yeah, because at the moment, I'm trying to figure out if he's dictated by his style of play or by the players that we have. So, for example, sorry to go back to Granit Xhaka, but what we do is we see Granit Xhaka almost drop into that back 3 and become that quarterback auxiliary left back. Now, I don't know if that's circumstantial, because that's what Granit Xhaka does, or if I don't know that it's purposely to release Kieran Tierney. And if it is to purposely release Kieran Tierney, then do you need to have a left-footed central midfielder who can slot back into that position, or does he drop into the middle of the defence and Gabriel becomes that left-sided, you know, centre back / left back? So
just
I think
to explain that, just on a tactical point, the reason why that is, Xhaka is purposely been in that role. He's deliberately, it's part of a systematical way of we play. Klopp does this and Pep does this as well. It's like, that's why Liverpool are where they are, it's not really because they've got no centre-backs, it's because they're having to put Henderson there. Now, what someone like a Xhaka, Henderson, Fernandinho do really well that a Rodri, for example, hasn't been doing at City is slotting into that left-back or right-back to cover the wing-backs when they bomb forward. In the modern-day football, wing-backs are now attackers. They're not really... their defensive side of their game is very minimal in the impact they're going to make. And that's the thing. And Xhaka, that's why you're going to see a lot of mistakes in Xhaka, because unfortunately he's now having to cover a defensive role which he's never been comfortable to do. And that's the problem. He's not mobile enough to do that role. That's why I do think he's going to target someone. And that's the issue with Xhaka in this system. He works, but he doesn't work 100% of the time. When the pressure's on him in the back line, like West Ham put on, he'd get exposed a lot more because... he's not fit. He's never played that style before. He's not a systematic player that can go into and slot in. That's why when I'm saying like an Ndidi or an Anguissa or whoever else you want to bring in, they're more suited to do that. They're more mobile and flexible and more defensive minded. That's what's going to do. Xhaka's more like a Partey in a sense. He likes to go forward. I know people like this negative stuff, but he's a top 8 forward passing players in Europe. But yeah, go on, Tino. Sorry.
Can I jump in? I know you mentioned Anguissa and Bissouma, but when I see Anguissa and Bissouma and I look at where Arteta has like learned his football at City under Pep, he plays Rodri in that role. And Rodri is, for me, when I see Rodri time, similar to Xhaka, he's not as mobile as an Anguissa and Bissouma.
He was forced into
tactically. Into Rodri.
Yeah. Because his original idea was to go for Busquets, but Barcelona were never going to give him up.
Yeah, but even when you say Busquets is, his quality is one of the best defensive midfielder in our generation. He's not the most mobile midfielder, but it's more tactically. Would you say he is?
He's 100% mobile. I'm telling you, trust me, he's mobile. Like in a sense of if this is the thing, Busquets is one of the most underrated players in world football in modern day society. He's got a lot of different attributes that people don't actually see. I watch Barcelona week in, week out, hence why I can actually tell it. Like, it's not me like having a go or anyone, but Busquets, the reason why Pep was always, even at Bayern Munich, he tried really hard to get Busquets, but Busquets is Barcelona. And I know people are going to be shocked by that, but it's not Messi. Messi doesn't make that system. Busquets does. And the decline of Busquets is the reason why Barcelona are in the way they are. They've had to change their entire philosophy because Busquets is aged. And Busquets does have a lot of ability to mobilize that midfield. But yeah, go on.
You guys pause really quick. DJ Harry has to leave. Harry, thank you so much for coming on. We'll see you next time, okay?
No worries. Have a great evening, guys. All the best.
See you, Harry.
Tino, go ahead and continue your point, and maybe we can get Tanner in here. He needs to start contributing to the conversation. He's just kind of down there chilling.
It's like what you said about Busquets, about him being mobile in that. But for me, one of Busquets' strongest qualities is the way he can read a game. So I think that's why like fans like me sometimes will be like, oh, he's not as mobile because he's always in the right place at the right time. So he sees the pictures way ahead of everyone. And when I'm looking at Anguissa and Bissouma, in all fairness, that's for me. I'm not seeing that. I'm seeing similar to like a Fernandinho, and I think Partey can do that job if it's coached into him. Because one quality, which even going back, for example, to the Odegaard to give Arteta, I watched like clips of like Real Sociedad. I've not watched Real Sociedad that much last year, so I watched clips of it, and I'm looking at the way Odegaard is playing. He used to always drift to the right. But now, if you look at it, it's more like he's still drifting not to the right, but it's more like centrally. So I believe that Arteta can coach Partey to handle that midfield.
Can I just say this though? You don't pay 45 million. You don't pay the release clause for Thomas Partey to make him sit back as a DM. Like I cannot. I just as much as I'm like, okay, yeah, like it could work. If that's what we were going to do, we should have bought Bissouma or a player that just sits in that position because he's so good going forward. And I know we haven't seen a lot of it, but we did see it against Manchester United where he can burst past a player and be more influential in the final third. the reason why his shots are shit right now is because he's too far away from the goal. He needs to get closer to the box.
Yeah.
He's way
Maybe
too
he needs
far
to get
out.
further away. Yes, maybe you got it wrong. Maybe he needs to go even further back, take a goal kick instead.
So
So that the ball has time to dip a little bit.
I mean, I would be very upset if we brought in like an Aouar or somebody like that, and we just kept Thomas in that sitting role, because I think we could have maybe used the money for a player that just kind of plays that way, and maybe even saved a little bit of money, because Thomas is too good to play that role. So I do agree he can play it, but it would almost be like a waste to have him do that when he's so skilled in other ways. You know, you keep Ndidi and Anguissa and those types for that. Thomas is special.
Could I ask you guys a question? Because I know we've focused on midfield, but looking at Arteta at the minute, wouldn't you say our main priority is right back? Because at
Tanner,
the
what do you
minute,
think?
I don't.
I mean, I'm going to quote Stan, one of my co-hosts on Same Old Arsenal USA. This isn't right back right now. Is it major surgery? If we were to prioritize right back, it's like, and I can't remember who said this. I'm not taking credit for it. It's not mine, but it's like cutting the grass while your house is on fire. And that's where I'm at with right back right now. If we have to go into next season with basically the same options that we have right now, I don't hate it. So that being Hector Bellerin, Cedric Suarez, and Callum Chambers, I don't like it, but I can live with it for right now. The main priority.
Do you know what it is? Do you know what it is? The issue is all three right backs offer us something different.
Something a little different.
But not all of them offer us what we need. That's the problem.
Exactly.
They all offer an aspect of what we need. Like Chambers' defensive ability and how tall he is and how dominant in the air he can be is something that we need, but Cedric can't offer that. And Cedric's attacking ability is something that we need. And with Bellerin, right, he's such a strange player. The only thing that I've really got a qualm with is his runs off the ball. He's a very sort of inverted, he makes underlapping runs, which annoys me, and I've said this many times, and I think me and Jess have spoken to this on Lens as well. If he can turn them underlapping runs into overlapping runs and actually get a bit of variety in his crossing, he might be half a decent right back that we won't need to worry about. I don't care about his pace aspect. His defensive awareness is a little bit weird as well. He needs to stop. All he needs to do, the thing with him is, all he needs to do is stop ball watching and stop making underlapping runs, because that's not the system we play. Just turn that into that and you'll be fine. But then it's like Chambers is coming to become, like, especially that West Ham, that's the right back we've been asking for. If you can bring more of that, I wouldn't worry too much. And I think there'll be other priorities that we need. It's such a tough one, because I wish we could just like merge them, and then that way we probably got the right back we want.
You guys, I have a
like
question.
Our striker situation.
Really quick, I have a question about the right back situation, and then we'll move on to something else.
Yeah.
But we have another guest. I want to bring him in really quick. I think his name is it Amio?
Hey, how are you guys doing?
Hey, how do you pronounce your name? Is it Amio?
Amio, yeah.
Amio, hi, nice to see you.
Nice to see
So,
you.
This may not be as like tricky as I think it is, but if I told you that we could get Odegaard by selling Bellerin, but we wouldn't be able to replace our right backs and we'd have Chambers and Cedric only, would you take that?
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
Would you guys take that?
Yeah.
Lunar Express, what do you think about this?
I wouldn't. For me, it kind of stems down to Odegaard. Now, I don't not want to sign him, but for me, I don't want to pay money for him. For me, he's not proven enough yet. At the end of the day, we are playing awfully right now. So any player can come in and look really good. So I want to see more of him on a national level and on a club level. So I'd actually try and loan him again, because the thing with Odegaard, he did flop at Madrid. Let's not act like he never got a chance. He did. He never did well.
I disagree.
He never did well from even a youth level. He was never particularly good enough to take that step forward. When they loaned him out to, I think it was Herneveen, he didn't do particularly great there either. So they loaned him out again to Vitesse, where he did decent. But he's always been just that one step behind that Madrid team. Like, he's always been one step behind a Modric or a Kroos. So I'd loan him, see what he can do. But to get rid of Bellerin, who isn't very good, granted, but Chambers has had one good game. Let's not forget that. He's not the only player to have one good game this season who's then turned out to be rubbish. And then Cedric as well. Like, he hasn't played enough to prove that he can do it on a consistent level. So right back is the most important position. It needs replacing immediately. And to take Odegaard and not get a new right back, I wouldn't do that because we've got Smith Rowe. Like, he can fill that position easily. So
yeah, but Odegaard is making the system tick though, more than the right back is at the minute. In terms of your mentionings of him flopping, he actually wasn't given much of an opportunity to begin with. The problem that you have with that Madrid team, yeah, but it's youth level, and like he's not been given a first team mentioning. That's where he's actually thrived. There's loads of players who have actually flopped in the academies but come out to be world beaters. There's people who have thrived in the academies and then come out to being absolute trash when they come to the senior levels. There's examples of both. But my thing is, I do think, even if you look at his Sociedad, for example, his most recent loan, it was actually one of his most successful loan moves in terms of dictating where Sociedad would finish. Sociedad were an up-and-down team before he came in there. He's actually stabilised their position in the league. They wanted him so badly, they were willing to do anything to keep him on loan. But Madrid were fearful to get him into a competitive team in a side that were rivaling them into a top-4 finish. Hence why they got him to go out of Spain. That's how crucial he is. Madrid know his qualities. Zidane doesn't rate him. That's the problem. Now, you're right, Guna, that it is too early to judge in a sense of in the Premier League. I understand that. But I've seen enough from him, and his ability and his attributes to understand that he will be a player for the future. Everyone, even Madrid, know that. They're not deluded to the fact that he's not going to be a future star. Barcelona wanted him as well. They both scouted him. But Barcelona, because of the things that, unfortunately, the sort of transfers and the youth level corruption that they had, are making them more wary of getting players, especially foreign players that are younger, to conduct them sort of transfers in a proper manner. And Madrid beat them to it. But in terms of the right-back situation, I do think Cedric offers more than Bellerin. Chambers offers more than Bellerin. So my problem is, right, Bellerin is going to go for about a 30 to 40 million pound price tag. That is a lot of money, and I don't think they're going to let him go and not replace him. I do think he will be replaced. And the thing with Bellerin, right, is his defensive ability isn't up to the scratch of a Cedric or a Chambers. Now, granted, they've only played like a few games, a handful of games, but in those games, we've looked far better than what everything Bellerin's done. Bellerin is a very inconsistent player, but every time Cedric plays, I've seen more consistent performances out of him. That's what we need. We need consistency and not inconsistent players.
I mean,
go ahead.
In no way am I protecting Bellerin. The guy is awful. Let's be honest. Don't need to say it nicely because he is awful. He wants to leave so he can go. But the point is, I think the question's a bit of a sticky one because, like you've said, we're not going to get rid of him and not replace him. So, for me, it's more of a question like, would you take Odegaard or not? And as I said before, I wouldn't pay money for him. I'd only loan him in. But yeah, like Saul said, he's right. Odegaard does have talent, but for me, it's how long can he actually keep that talent in the Premier League? And then at the same time, if Bellerin goes, he's going to get replaced anyway because Arteta, he doesn't want Cedric or Chambers as his starting right back. We know that. Right. That was never his plan. So he's going to go and get a Lamptey or an Aarons or someone along those lines who can fit his plans more.
That's a really fair point. And I do think that for me, like when I'm looking at Bellerin, I also think that we liked him more when he was overlapping because that's what we like to see. We like to see an overlapping right back. When he plays, he's asked to play like this inverted role. And I hate to say this, but you're not Cancelo. You don't have the quality to play like a midfielder and get into the midfield and almost play like a 10. He just doesn't have the quality to do it. So do I think that I don't think that role suits him as much as maybe Arteta thinks. Maybe it works in practice, but in the game, it just seems like he struggles because that's just not what we want to see. Cedric and Chambers just overlap. They keep it simple. That's why they look better, is because they keep it simple. Amio, I want to get you involved. How do you feel about the right back situation? Is it the most important? Do you think maybe a striker is most important? We can move on to striker soon too. What do you think is more important for the summer?
I don't know. The way I look at it, we have more players in different positions that we can sell to finance the Odegaard acquisition. Because if you look at Guendouzi and Torreira, what's happening with these two players, right? I think Guendouzi's on a 1-year deal, so is Lucas Torreira. So how much do we get for these players? Ideally, if we can get 10-10 for each, it would be great. I don't know what your valuation of Guendouzi is, but clearly he's a toxic player because look at what's going on with Hertha Berlin. It's not working out. He's coming back to Arsenal. So can we use these two players to finance the Odegaard deal? I would do it. I would keep Bellerin. If we can get 20-25 for him, I would sell him and finance a Lamptey deal. But I don't think we can get rid of Bellerin and maintain our position with Cedric and
Chambers.
Yeah, I just don't.
Yeah, we need to replace, and not even just replace, we need to upgrade. I think that's important too, is that we're talking about replacing players. There's no point in replacing and getting the same quality. They either need to be a more suitable profile or they just need to be a better player. And to do that, we have to raise funds. You know, they're not just going to show up out of nowhere. You know, getting a better, even though Bellerin is not great, getting any player that's better than Bellerin, that's young and up and coming, is going to cost a lot of P. Like, that's how all the players are going to be. Replacement for Xhaka, that's going to cost money too, you know? So I don't know where the money's coming from, but I see 1 to 2 upgrades in the summer. And I'm hoping that we figure out what the striker situation is going to be. Tanner, how do you feel about the striker situation? Do you think that it's an in-house thing that we can resolve just in-house? We can maybe push it to the next summer, or do we need to bring somebody in like an Odson Edouard or a Patson Daka or somebody like that?
So the striker situation is, it could be classified as the most important position for us, because when you look over the course of this season and you go back and you look at the matches that where we drop points, where we look at the overall match, we lost this match and we shouldn't have. We should have gained. We should have gotten all 3 points here, whether it be a draw, Burnley, a loss, Aston Villa, Wolves, what have you. You go back and you look, and there are chances that we missed. And it's because of this constant crossing the ball into the air, into the box, nobody on the end of it. If we can bury our chances, and I would say we're not doing that right now, so that would stand to reason that an upgrade somehow, some way at striker is a necessity. If you eliminate the individual errors that led to goals, David Luiz and his red cards, Granit Xhaka and his red cards, or kicking the ball off someone, the opposition's chest and, playing like a pool type game. So, hey, I'm going to, ball into the back right corner off his chest, calling a shot here kind of thing. We would be, so all of that considered, we would be in second place. And I understand if ifs and buts were candy and nuts, we'd all have a wonderful Christmas. But the fact remains that this is down to individual errors and not being able to score goals when we have the opportunities. This team as a whole, and I'm going to get absolutely roasted for this, is not that bad. You eliminate individual errors, we're in the top 4, if not real close, in fighting for it. You eliminate the individual errors and you score the goals where the opportunities were blatant. We're second place, and we're giving City something to think about for the title. That's this team right now. So talent-wise, ability-wise, it's there. It's all up here. From the neck down, we're okay. It's all up here for this team right now. Can we upgrade? 100%. I'm going to throw 2 names out at you. Boubakary Soumaré from Lille, Boubacar Kamara from Marseille. Both young, both defensive midfielders. I think both would work very well with Thomas Partey in the midfield. As far as strikers go, Odson Edouard seems to be the name on everybody's lips. At this point, I think he brings that aerial threat that we so severely lack in a center forward. Right back, this Lamptey thing, I think, has got to get put to bed. That I just don't see that happening. Brighton just gave him a new contract. I don't see Tariq Lamptey happening this summer. Max Aaron's a different story. Something to be said there. I can't remember the name that Stan had said. I think he's in Germany. It's either Germany or France. There's another name out there at right back, but whew, it's tough. You know, most important position to upgrade. I mean, the fact is you can't win if you don't score, right?
True. You
I
guys
mean,
are
nil draws only get you 1 point. So
That's-
I would say upgrade the striker position. And you know, as far as Martin Odegaard goes, I mean, look, we're sitting here March 23rd, 2021. As of this moment right now, Martin Odegaard, that's the priority for the summer. As we sit here right now. Ask me this again in a month, that answer might change. But as we sit here right now, Martin Odegaard is the priority because he is every match he plays, he's gaining confidence. He's figuring out the system and he's becoming more comfortable with what Mikel Arteta is asking him to do. I think attacking midfield options are there. We have Emile Smith-Rowe. He can do it. We know that. Get Martin Odegaard in the door permanently. Work on a pivot with Thomas Partey. And we've got to figure out sell Aubameyang. I'm going to say it. I've been saying it for sell Aubameyang. Sell him.
Hold on. Before we get into the Aubameyang conversation, I want to bring somebody else in. Gunnar Express, thank you so much for coming on. I really appreciate it. And the next time that we have one, I want to see you back, okay? Thank you so much for your input. Bye. All right, we're going to bring in Military Gunnar. What's up, man? How are you doing?
There he is.
I'm good. How are you guys? Where's the panel?
Yo, we're about to start talking about Aubameyang, and I feel like this might get a little interesting because, you know, we talked about this with Kevin yesterday, and he was basically talking about how you need Aubameyang, you know, you need to get him scoring. He's our best player, all this kind of stuff, and Lacazette's playing well, and at this moment, he would renew or keep Lacazette. And I just think that's, for me, I love Kevin Campbell, obviously, and like hopefully he doesn't watch this and come back and be like, Jessica, but Lacazette has gone through goal droughts, and like just a couple of months ago, he was the bad man, you know, and now all of a sudden Aubameyang's the bad man because he's not scoring. If one chance falls to us in the Europa League final, do you want it to come to Aubameyang's feet or do you want to come to Lacazette's feet? You know, I think Aubameyang is our striker. He's just in bad form right now, but we cannot renew Lacazette. We can't. Like, we literally can't. There's no option for that. Whether or not he stays or goes is more, I think, a symptom of what happens in the market. Does somebody come and get him? Or does nobody come and get him and he runs his deal down? That's kind of where we're at. You know, but in terms of Aubameyang, he needs to get scoring. But do I think we're going to have money to buy another striker that's going to want to play under Aubameyang? No. You know, are we going to bring in somebody who's better than Aubameyang? Probably not. So I'm looking at Martinelli like that's the option in-house. You know, why can't we just move Martinelli up? He'll probably be okay with being behind Aubameyang. But who could we possibly buy that's going to be okay with playing under Aubameyang? And do we really want to put Aubameyang out on the left wing to accommodate somebody else in the center? Like, to me, it's a conundrum, but I'd rather just stick with what we have, let Lacazette leave, and move Martinelli to center forward. What do you think, Military Gunnar?
Those are some very, very valid points. Actually, I think that we understand that in the world of football, winning a game is the most important thing. Winning a game can fix even the worst club in the worst situation. A player like Lacazette tends to go in too much goal droughts. We can't afford that. Yes, Aubameyang has its goal drought, but it's not as long as the Lacazette's goal drought, and that has been significant in how we want to progress the team. We can't afford a player like Lacazette to continue with us because of many variables. And I think that selling Lacazette would be the best option for the club right now. He has hit some form, means that his stock has risen. We should really improve on that and maybe get the best deal we can from that. That is very, very critical. So selling Lacazette is the best option, I think. Martinelli would be comfortable waiting on his chance behind Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang, and Aubameyang entering his last stages of his contract. I think he would be okay benching some of the games and giving a young star like Martinelli the opportunity to shine. So I think that would be the best way moving forward. Selling Lacazette and keeping Aubameyang and move on with Martinelli behind Aubameyang. We've seen him in striker training, individual training, moving him into that particular position of the field. to get him better acquainted with that. And I think that is what they're doing with the player right now. So that is definitely the best option for me.
I have to agree with that. I just want to say that we have a history of giving out bad deals. We have a history of signing players that have pretty much done what they're supposed to do, and we keep them on for years on end. And they get paid, they can't get off the wages, we can't resell them. And to me, Lacazette is just somebody that's going to be the same way. He's gonna score his 10 goals a season, and he's gonna be on what, 200 grand. It just doesn't make sense for us to resign him. We need to sell him and finance Odegaard.
I'm sorry, but you know what it is with Aubameyang, and I've tried to give him the season off, but unfortunately, when players are off form, the one thing you want to do is work hard, start working for this team. My issue with Aubameyang, right? And look, I've got a wardrobe full of his jerseys, so I love the guy. I genuinely love him at Arsenal, and I want him to succeed more than anything. I want him to turn this form around more than anything. Well, my problem is he wanting to turn this form around? That's my problem. His mentality, he seems uninterested. Every game I see him play, he doesn't make runs. He's not trying to involve himself in a game. He's just seemingly disappearing from games, and that's the problem. When he's not scoring goals, what is he doing? And that's where you have to now draw the line and say, look, thank you for everything you've done, but you have to be ruthless, because what's he like? I'm honestly baffled to what has he done for us this season. Yes, he's won us an FA Cup, 100%. I agree, and that's why I've given him as long as I have. But after what he did against Burnley, I absolutely lost it with him. You do not come out right after that performance and tell the fans it is what it is. We didn't take our chances. It is what it is. Then you turn up late for the Northern Derby. Every single opportunity you get to face the media after a loss, you don't take it. You go push a youngster out. I'm sorry, his mentality, his attitude towards this club is shocking. I can't be asked when a player's going to be like that. It hurts me to even talk like this about Aubameyang, because I love the guy. I'm the one that's been chanting all season, Aubameyang, he's going to come good for us. But my problem is when they start to work like this, when they start to lack effort and they lack heart to play for this club, why is he trying to, what's this swagger come from? Where's this cockiness come from? Why is he trying to make these cool finishes when he's been off form? Olympiacos, that Gabriel Martinelli chant, all right, the other ones, forget about them, right? You bury that because the fan base is on your back. We're 1-0 down when we shouldn't be. You bury that with everything you have. My problem with Aubameyang is when he's not offering us goals this season, he hasn't done anything. I want a play. Do you know when managers give a chance to a player, what do? They try their best. Lacazette's trying at least. Whether he scores in that game or not, he tries to get us back into a game. Aubameyang disappears in that moment. That's the difference. And that's my problem with him.
I think of Aubameyang, right? The issue that a lot of us Arsenal fans have is now that the system is changing and he's off the left-hand side, what we expect him to do is not his game. His game is, he's not, let's say we're struggling, Aubameyang's not going to drop deep like Lacazette will or any of the top. He's just a goal scorer. And that's the reality of it. Like, we kind of need a striker who's similar, who's got Aubameyang's qualities and Lacazette's qualities in one. Because I don't understand. I know what you're saying, Aubameyang's not going to drag us out, and he's been poor this year, fair enough. But then with Aubameyang, I do not expect him to play with his back to goal. He's poor. He's always at Dortmund. He was poor playing with his back to goal, and you can tell that Aubameyang is not Arteta's man. And giving Aubameyang that big contract that we gave him was the biggest mistake. Well, which showed the mistakes Arsenal have done, because we gave him a big contract based on what he had done in the past for us, but not what we can see him doing in the future. Because in the future, the way Arteta likes to play, you can't tell me Aubameyang is his striker. He wants a striker who can play with his back to goal, in work around like the triangle.
No. But he's had opportunities even when he's running in on goal. He's missed them. Yeah. That's my problem.
But him missing his opportunities, I'd say, put it out this season, he's been off it. Like, I was a big Aubameyang fan, and this season I've come to realise that it's like against Benfica, the first leg. Is it the first leg where he missed a ton of chances?
Yeah.
And you're
Missed
like,
a hat-trick of chances.
yeah, and that's the time I was like, this is not Aubameyang. Like, these are like this. It's like bread and butter for Aubameyang, and he's missing like click. And even against Olympiacos, the one where he tried to, I think it was 1-on-1, and he tried to toe poke it and he missed it. It's like usually he's trying to finesse that, but I don't know what's up with him. But the only thing I'd say is no one's gonna buy Aubameyang, because who's gonna give him them wages in a pandemic? Like, we have to be real.
I think
But
that's
do you know what,
yeah.
Kino? Do you know what it is though? Like, I get all of that, and I'm not. That's not my issue with him. It's not his finishing ability or him not scoring goals.
It's
That's
his
not where my
attitude.
problem stemmed. Is his attitude. It's it's so annoying because I don't want to say it, but it's a very Özil 2.0. It's
Yeah, but then
another. It's an Özil part 2. No, and I'll explain it to you now. Özil's ability was never in question. It was his attitude, his lack of work, his lack of effort, and he was at every point, right, he was taking the piss out of the club. That's what Aubameyang's starting to do. We're starting to see the cracks and what Dortmund fans warned us of. When he first came in, brilliant attitude. I'm not questioning his attitude then. My problem is now he doesn't even care. Aubameyang from last season and the seasons before, when he misses that, let's say, for example, that first Olympiacos chance, right, when he could have scored, that second one guaranteed going in. He would have been in such a beast. You'd see in his eyes that he's pissed off. You know that team is now getting it. This season, I'm like, oh yeah, he ain't going to do nothing. I don't see it. I don't see the desire.
What is his why would he need to try hard at this point in his career? He there's no big move coming for him. He's making a buttload of money. Nobody's going to give him a bigger contract, and he doesn't believe that. Let me just be honest. How I kind of see it is when he realized that we weren't going to bring in a wall, and we didn't bring in enough players to get us where maybe he thought we would. He down tools. The beginning of the season to me was just him saying, we didn't get enough players for me to, because basically it's like, you didn't bring in a wall, so who's going to get me the ball? You're not going to register Ozil, so it's all about Aubameyang. He spent all of last season threatening us to leave.
Yeah, there's 2 players in this team that are currently far too comfortable. That's why you're seeing a decline in performances. Leno and Aubameyang.
There's no incentive for Aubameyang to play well.
There's no incentive for Leno and Aubameyang to perform because they know that their positions in this club are pretty much fixed. Hence why you're seeing a decline in performance. Like the thing is, this is
why would you? That's the thing for me is like, do I blame Leno and Aubameyang for downing tools, or do I blame the club and how ambitious they've been? Right?
I don't understand how we get ourselves back in this position. I really don't. After everything that we went through with Ozil, I get that it's like we have to sign Aubameyang, but we didn't. We had a choice. And we made another poor choice. It's about where he is in his. He was. I don't
think it's a poor choice. I just think it became
playing for a move last season, though. That's basically what he wasn't playing for a contract for Arsenal. He was playing for a move somewhere else. He threatened us all of last season to leave, and then when the pandemic hit and he knew that he couldn't get a deal anywhere else, he signed with us. There's absolutely no incentive, especially after the summer transfer window ended, no incentive for him to do anything else, because you could tell when we got Gabriel, Willian, and Partey that wasn't going to be enough for top 4. He knew that. Ozil's in his ear chirping, look, this is the exact same thing they did to me. They got me on a big contract and didn't build the team around me. And he just said, you know what? I'm done. And this entire season he's doing nothing. This is Aubameyang we're talking about. This is not Lewandowski.
Jess, let me circle back.
He's been this.
Let me circle back to something you said. We didn't bring in a player to get him the ball, right? Why do we need a player to get him the ball? Oh, because that's the kind of a player that he is. He can't do it himself.
Yeah.
This is our captain. I look at other sports and I see the captains of teams in other sports, and they do it themselves. They do it themselves. Ask yourselves this question. Did Michael Jordan do it himself, or did Michael Jordan need Scottie Pippen? No, Michael Jordan did it himself. End of. Scottie Pippen was Scottie Pippen because of Michael Jordan, not the other way around. So with Aubameyang, and this is why I advocate selling Aubameyang. Now, that being said, if the offers are there for Lacazette and not for Aubameyang, I'm selling Lacazette because one of them needs to go. I'm putting them both on the market, and I'm taking the best deal that I get. I think you'll get more money for Aubameyang. Number 2 is age. And number 3, just the way that he fits in this team. He has the mentality of an elite striker, which is the selfish, look at me, my name in lights, the chrome-wrapped Lamborghini, all of, he's walking down the Las Vegas Strip and the lights are just shining directly on him. And that's what he wants. And to a degree, in a striker, you want that. But that doesn't fit in this system. So it's either, I hate to say this, but you're either Aubameyang FC or you're Arteta/Arsenal FC, because this right now, we're oil and water with these two, because Aubameyang doesn't fit Arteta's system, and you needn't look any further to see the evidence of what Arteta wants to be than where he cut his coaching teeth at Manchester City. 125 goal scorer since Pep's been there. One in 1 year. I'm not saying one player. I'm saying one player, 1 year. In all competitions, it was Sergio Aguero. Sergio Aguero, 32, 3 years ago in all competitions, and they played almost 70. And he scored 32. This isn't a system that is designed to feed the ball to one person for him to go bang in 30 goals. It's a team. It truly is a team system, a team-based system. I don't want 25 goals from one person. I want 10 to 15 from 4 or 5. And that's the system that Arteta wants to instill here. He wants the goals coming from the wings, coming from the midfield, coming from, crosses into the box from the fullbacks. That's the system. It involves the attack. When you think about the attack of what Arteta wants to do, it really is a 6-pronged attack. You want 6 players involved in the attack. You don't need the center backs involved. And I'm talking open play here. You don't need the center backs involved necessarily. You need them to hang back and be ready to defend on the counter. But your midfield, you're probably going to have a defensive midfielder, maybe 2, but your fullbacks are bombing forward, as we see with Kieran Tierney, as we see with Cedric, even in against West Ham, as we saw with Callum Chambers. So it's all about taking one guy's goals and spreading them out, but also creating more goals for other players. Alex Lacazette is going to do that. Not only can Alex Lacazette, does he not necessarily need the service, but he can actually provide the service as well. So that's why, for me, if I had to pick one, I want Alex Lacazette. And I'm a little biased because he scored the first goal at the first game I ever saw live, and that's another story for another time. Yeah.
You guys, we just added somebody else in. Let me unmute you really quick. Can you let everybody know what your name is and how you...
Hi, guys. The chat shows my name is Luque. Nice to meet you. I thought you guys were having a really interesting chat about Aubameyang. If I could touch on the situation, personally, I don't think we can rely on either of them going forward. I think we should be at the point where, for whatever reason, if they stay, they're both squad players. And I know it's hard to say, oh, this guy's on 250K a week now. Or I believe that's what his new contract is. How can he be a squad player? But I don't buy this playing people into their value thing. They're either at the level or they're not. And I just don't know if he has it in him to be that 22-goal-a-season striker again. The only reason why I think maybe he'll end up staying with instead of Lacazette, like has been alluded to, is I just don't see anyone coming in for him. I think this is the bed we made and we need to lie in it. And we just need to kind of accept that he's our player and we pick and choose our opportunities to use him. There will be games for Aubameyang. I know he has a system, Arteta, and Oba doesn't necessarily fit it as the main guy, but that doesn't mean he can't be a cog in the machine. And also another thing that I disagree with Jess on actually is about playing him out wide. I think playing him out, I said something bad. I think playing him out wide is actually quite a viable option as well, mainly on that left-hand side.
Well,
so
I mean, the thing is, you know, football is all about opinions. We all have different opinions, and we're all right and we're all wrong. So if you feel like he plays well off of the left, or he has a place on the left, that's perfectly fine. I just, for my eye test, I don't like it because I would rather see two technical players, one on each side, you know, but that's just me. But yeah, awesome. So you guys, I'm seeing that there's people in the comment section that have a lot to say about this, but won't come on here and say it to us. You know, I see a couple, some people in there that are upset about Aubameyang comments. If you have something to say, feel free to use the link.
Out, you know.
Feel free to use the link, you know. But I think here my whole thing with the Aubameyang whole scenario is that, yes, he's not my favorite player. I do think the attitude is something that I don't like, you know, and I think I like Lacazette's attitude more than Aubameyang's when it comes to playing for the team and being a team player and things like that. But we're in a situation where we've committed to this long-term contract. So financially and just squad building purposes, Lacazette's going to have to go, in my opinion, and Aubameyang will stay, but we cannot rely on him. So players like Pepe and Saka, Emile Smith-Rowe, they're going to have to step up, you know, and hopefully they're able to do that, you know, and I'm hoping that they are grooming Martinelli to be the number 9, because we're not going to have the money to address every single thing in the summer. And personally, I think Odegaard and right back are most important right now.
Yeah, he's working on getting Martinelli as a central player anyway. He's made it apparently clear from before he even joined, he wanted Martinelli as a main striker, hence why he's been in and out of the team. But I do think, obviously, that would be that's why I agree with you, Jess. I don't think Lacazette's going to be signed on, and I don't think we're going to get a striker this summer, because I feel like Martinelli is that striker that we're going to bring in as a new signing.
Come in after.
Yeah, go for it.
You see the whole Aubameyang thing. I see one of the comments said Aubameyang scored 22 goals in the last 2 seasons for us, over 20 goals in the last 2 carrying us. Which he has, but you have to understand, Arsenal as a team is progressing. Like last season, the system was built for Aubameyang to score, whereas now we're looking at, as what he said, like the system now is getting built for everyone to be involved and score, and it's not suiting Aubameyang. Playing on the left this year is required to do more than last year. He worked hard, but then every attack would just basically Aubameyang comes in, cuts in, goal. Whereas now it's like we're expecting goals from Pepe, Odegaard, Lacazette, the person playing on the left, even Smith-Rowe. This is why even against Tottenham, you see Smith-Rowe when he's on the left. He's shooting a bit more, etc. So what we need from Aubameyang is to contribute in the system, not individually. Now we need players which will come in and can suit the whole system. As an individual, we appreciate what he's done for us, and we hold him in high regards. But then we need more now. We don't need him. We don't need the team playing for him. We need him playing for the team. And I think that's where people get confused when people say we need an upgrade or Aubameyang to do more. It's because we need him to play for the team, not himself anymore.
I mean, he needs to play for himself. He's got nothing more to prove. This is the end of his career. This is the biggest team he's going to get unless he goes to the MLS and stuff. You know, he's not going to get a bigger opportunity to prove his legacy.
Yeah, I think, well, here's where the project comes in, right? You guys, like, we want to see all these changes, but we know they're not going to all happen right away. This is going to take a long time. And I think having Aubameyang, Lacazette, Martinelli, you know, Nketiah to a certain extent is not such a big deal. I do think having Ceballos, Elneny, Thomas, and Odegaard and Smith-Rowe, that's not enough cover in the midfield. It's all about priorities, you know, and being able to take advantage of the market and how much money we can raise and things like that. But the striker situation, to me, I just think is going to end up being, like you guys said, Lacazette gone, Aubameyang in. But are we sure a Balogun is not going to be here? Do we want to kind of touch on that? Some people in the comment section have been talking about Balogun. Do we think he's gone? He's, you know, he hasn't really signed a pre-contract with anybody, has he?
I think if he were in the plans, I think I just think Arteta would have found a way to get him involved. And if Arteta had a plan for Balogun, last Thursday would have been the perfect opportunity to play him. 2-goal cushion, 3 away goals, put him in there and see what he can do. You have 5 subs if it's not working with him.
He should have been in the squad minimum.
Yeah, I think Balogun will walk.
He's as good as gone.
I also don't think we should allow youth players who haven't played a single game for the first team to hold us hostage over wages, and then we're facing, like, the Saka situation was really sad where he waited so long to sign that contract. I don't think it's gonna happen. The same thing is gonna happen with Emil Smith Rowe, but we need, if you haven't played a single game, you are not allowed to hold Arsenal Football Club hostage over your wages. That's just what I believe.
Well, I mean, the club has to step up to the plate and say, "Look, you're not going to hold us hostage." But here's where the club kind of, if you'll excuse my language, shits the bed. That we don't want this player to hold us hostage, but he and his agent know they can, because they know we're probably not going to go chase anybody to replace him. We're not going to say, "Hey, you know what? We've got somebody else. So if you want to go, you think you can get a better deal somewhere else?" Deuces.
The issue is the problem also comes to the fact that he's actually one of the most sought after strikers in European football. They're already the teams that have already kind of come in for him. Obviously, he hasn't signed anything yet, which kind of gives me a 50-50 hope that he probably is going to stay. But my issue is, I don't want to sign the player if that's his attitude, because you don't deserve to be on the wages of players who have come in, proved themselves. Because I think me and Tanner, I spoke to you about this on your channel on one of the shows. If he's as good as he says he is, his financial future is secured.
Right.
But the problem is, I don't think he backs himself to be as good as he wants to be. And that's where, like you said, the mentality comes into it. Because if I thought I was the next thing, like Saka, for example, or ESR probably do think they're going to become the next. Did they not, or did they get a contract straight away? After 10 games, they both got contracts given to them. So Balogun should be looking at that. He goes, all I have to do is perform for about 10 games and my demands will be met. But that's not the way you think, because I don't think he believes in his talents.
Well, I think his contract expires, so he does need a new contract. And I think he's, he is holding Arsenal.
He's exploiting. He's just trying to.
He's holding the club's feet to the fire here, saying basically, "Look, you know what you've got in me," and he's trying to skip the, "Hey, you know what? You've outperformed the contract that we just put you on. We're going to tear that up now, and we're going to bump you up." He wants to skip that part, and that's good business from the club. I'll say this: I have real high hopes for this kid. You're going to see his name in lights, just like Aubameyang's, in pretty short order. 3-4 years, he's going to be one of the preeminent strikers in Europe, I think. But this club has to be. Somebody put it up in the comments. We need to stop being like soft FC and start being ruthless FC. Yeah. Let him walk. Because it's all about mentality, all about attitude. Sorry, Tino, go ahead.
But do you not think that one key aspect is that he's waiting to see what happens with Eddie, because game with Eddie and Lacazette, because game time is also key, and he needs to be playing at his age. He needs to be getting them Europa League minutes. Like what? You know how we've seen Martinelli this season when Emery was there, where Martinelli had them Europa League minutes. At the start of the season, he was just getting on the bench in the Europa League. I think he only played, is it 30, 40 minutes in total in the Europa League?
Martinelli, you're talking about?
Balogun.
Balogun,
yeah.
Yep.
So he needs to get those. So I think he's waiting basically on what happens with Eddie, what happens with Lacazette. Because if Eddie goes, because they share the same agent as well. So if Eddie goes, he may then get promoted as that third striker who's on the bench, who's in around the first team. Because at the minute, he's not really in and around the first team as he'd like to be.
Right.
So he may be waiting on that because, everyone knows he's had offers from different clubs, but nothing's been signed. And also Arteta seems optimistic with the negotiations going on. So I still have that hope that it's more about game time and waiting on what's going to happen in the future than Eddie, than money-wise, which people think that he's demanding big money from the club. Because even himself should know that he's not going to get big money in Germany.
Yeah.
But you know what? To play devil's advocate on that, I don't think his demands are too high either on some parts, because I think if Arsenal believe that his talent is as good as they say he is, and like obviously from what we've seen, 40k a week actually isn't that much, because say for example we give him that 40k, bring him in next season, and he doesn't prove it, we can cut our losses and probably still make money on him in terms of the contract we've offered him. So it's such a strange one, but I just think it's the way. It's actually Balogun's agent. I don't want to tarnish Balogun too much, because I don't know how much he's got to play with it, because it's his agent demanding a lot of money. But Balogun's, because obviously when you apply an agent, you're going to let them kind of do that, and you just do the football bit. That's obviously what you're going to do. But obviously, I do think Balogun, every sign that I see from Balogun, he wants to stay. But his agent's trying to exploit the club because he knows Nketiah is. I don't want to say he's flopped it in the senior level, but he might not be as big as he thought he'd be. Especially when you look at him on the under 23s, under 21, where he's absolutely blown that out of the water. He's got some of the best records.
They also know that wages are now available. You know, when you get rid of Socrates, you get rid of Mustafi, you get rid of Ozil, you know that there's money there.
Was it like 800k a week?
Yeah, so they're looking to exploit the club. But I think that it would be, for Arsenal, it would be nice to have Aubameyang, Martinelli, and Balogun as our striker choices for next season, versus this mix of Eddie, Lacazette, Aubameyang. I think it makes more sense squad building wise. I just don't know if we can get it done. But you guys, we have Glenn here. I think he wants to talk about the Aubameyang situation. He was very upset in the chat box, and he decided to show his face and say his piece. So I am going to move one of you guys out. So I think, who's been here the longest? Okay.
I can be moved out. It's okay.
Okay. Amiel, thank you so much for coming on and contributing to the conversation. We'll see you next time, all right?
Take care.
Bye. All right. Glenn's here. So yeah, you guys, I think that would be good for squad building purposes. You have Martinelli that can play off of the left, but also is our center forward. Balogun is somebody who's young and could help us in some of the Carabao Cup and the FA Cup and competitions like that. He seems like he's good. I don't think the club would be going through all these hoops if he wasn't good. I haven't seen him play a lot, but you don't spend this amount of time messing around with a young player like this if he doesn't have some sort of, talent. But Glenn, go ahead and say your piece about Aubameyang. You're upset. I'm sorry I upset you. Go ahead.
You're not the only one. I absolutely love everyone on the panel. Absolutely love everyone. But you've triggered me to them. And I was just starting my break for the international break today. And here I am again, back after one day. I mean, I have a question. When did Aubameyang and Lacazette become the main issue at Arsenal? I just don't understand. Last year, we got rid of Ozil. That was our main issue. And we got rid of like 4 or 5 deadwood players in January, Mustafi, Socrates. There's no time that Aubameyang and Lacazette have ever been our biggest problem. That is not, right now we need a backup left back, we need a right back, we need another central midfielder, we need another center back. We've never needed a striker, we need a backup striker. Now, I'm happy the way Aubameyang and Lacazette kind of play. Okay, let me start to talk about the style of play. So Lacazette holds up the play and brings up everyone into play. That is one style of play. Aubameyang provides the pace in behind like he did against Everton last season, like he did against City and the FA Cup last season. And I need a third striker who provides the power from the bench, the extra aerial ability from the bench, like a Giroud kind of player. So I don't want us to lose any style of play like sell Aubameyang and Lacazette. Who do we get? I really want to know who's that player who's going to bring all 3 styles of play into the team. There's something Jess said also about Aubameyang staying about because of COVID. I absolutely don't agree with that. The mood was great after the FA Cup win. Everything was great. I do believe that Arteta was also the main reason why he stayed. The mood was great in the team. Everything looked positive for next season, which is this season currently. So you can't just say that it's because of COVID that's the reason he stayed. I absolutely believe he stayed because he actually believed in the plan and where we were heading. Some of you might call it the process, as we usually call it. So he absolutely trusted in it. So the style of play where Aubameyang, Lacazette, and another striker would provide, Aubameyang and Lacazette have never been the main issue at Arsenal. We need like 5 or 6 other players or positions to be to be out. We can sell Xhaka, we can sell Bellerin, we can sell Chambers, can sell.
Glenn. Do you know what you say? He's not. We're not saying that he's in the past hasn't been an issue. We're saying now he's becoming an issue. I just wanted to correct that bit. Sorry.
I don't think it's becoming an issue, man. Like, I saw Gun Express in the chat saying a 300,000 pound player should be scoring 35 goals. Like, why is he saying that? Like, he's been getting that 300,000 a week for the last 4 years. He has not. He got that contract like 4 or 5 months ago, and he's having one bad season. He's only like 4 or 5 months 6 months into his contract, and he still has like 2-3 years to go. I absolutely still believe that this season Aubameyang is still going to win us the Europa League.
Can I ask you a question? When Aubameyang mentions 2 games, Everton, City, you can even add Chelsea. Where was Aubameyang playing?
On the left side.
On the left side, right. And if you look at the system now, does it suit a left side? So when we played Smith Rowe, even Willian, is Aubameyang getting those opportunities where he's running in behind the way we're playing now? Because we're more possession based, so we're more dictating play, and now he's not getting those opportunities that he'd got in them games because we're more basically playing like 3-5-2, the 3 at the back. It was more of a
sorry to interrupt you, Tino, but we're also not just more possession based, we're also more build up based, and I think that that's where Aubameyang suffers, and even to a lesser extent Pepe, and I think that's why he seems to fancy Saka so much on that right hand side, because he wants, I think the bar for forwards at Arsenal in recent memory for me is Alexis Sanchez. Whether you're playing on the left, on the right, or through the middle, he was a very technically well-rounded player. You give him the ball, he can pass around, he can do the little triangles with people. And Aubameyang just doesn't do that. I'm not saying he's a problem because of that. I'm just saying is when you don't do that, and you don't do that build-up part leading up to the goals, and you're not scoring the way you used to be to make up for those things, then people are going to speak on it, because I don't think he or Lacazette is the problem. I think our lack of goals and previously our lack of creativity has been the problem. And even as things are getting better now, you still think of those notorious missed chances and how wasteful we've been, and no points that could have been 5 points or even just 3 points in the table that between themselves they've not contributed enough to. Again, this isn't like a historical hate on. I love Oba. He's still got credit in the bank for me just for the last 2.5 seasons. But this year, in my opinion, I think that it's been enough to show that we need a striker who can net 15 goals a season. And furthermore, like is it Tanner said? I don't know if I can call you that, but he said something along the lines of, we want people who can score. We want loads of guys who can score 10 plus goals a season.
And assist
exactly, and assist as well.
But on that though, Aubameyang's actually on course to doing that. He's not far off. He's got 24 games, 9 goals, 1 assist, right? We've got 10 games in the league to play. We've still got Europa League, depending on how many more games you play in there. He'll probably get you 15, 20 goals, like without a doubt. But my issue actually with him isn't the fact that he can score these goals. It's just when he isn't doing that, what's he doing? Because only 25% of his plays actually contributed to any goals, which isn't enough. And that's where my issue is, Glenn. I love Aubameyang. Trust me. Go check my Twitter feed. All you'll see is praise. Even to this day, I still praise him. And I still think he may actually come back. But my problem is when a player's attitude isn't right, that's where I have to question is sort of what's he offering? Because he's not got the right attitude for me.
Yeah, so just to start with Tino's question about the position thing. That's what I'm saying. I want us to have different styles of play. I don't want us to depend on the position kind of football. I mean, you play against 37 teams or 37 games in a season. You have to play Carabao Cup. You have to play Champions League maybe next season. Europa League. You're playing against like 40 different tactics. I want us to have where we need aerial ability, we have it. Again, where we need pace on the wing, we have it. Again, where we need possession, we have it. Aubameyang and Lacazette, if you check the last 8 years, maybe from 2012, yes, I'm going to the past, but they are definitely in the top 10 strikers ever, like alongside Lewandowski, Messi, Ronaldo in those last 10 years, and they've never become useless in the space of 5 years. Yes, Sal says that what does he do when he doesn't, or when he's not scoring goals? Yes, everyone has troubled times. Like, yes, in the last 3 months we've not seen enough of him, but confidence has been low. I still feel like he'll pick it up anyway, and he'll be part of the team. I want us to try different formations and 4-4-2 to part of the process as well. I still feel like we can fit both of them in the team. And what else was I going to say? Like, I don't want us to sell either of Lacazette and Aubameyang. We have so many other different issues to sort out, and I still feel, as I say, he's going to win us the Europa League again. And the captaincy issue as well, I don't agree with it. I don't think he's supposed to be the Arsenal captain. I think Kane is supposed to be. So, yeah, that's what I have to say, Jess.
One point that Glenn made is being able to change formations and adjust tactics sort of based on the opposition, and this is all I'm going to say on it. Arteta needs to be more like Rowdy Roddy Piper. Just when you think you've got all the answers, I go and change the question. So, Jess, you knew I wasn't going to get
I do think he is.
You guys, we're at like an hour and 45 minutes, so I do want to wrap this up, but I want to give everybody the opportunity to answer my fantasy question. This is not, hopefully I'm not jinxing us or whatever, but I want to know, like, if we were to make it to the Europa League final and we were playing against, let's say, Manchester United, who would be your front four right now? And I'll start with Tino.
My front four. Odegaard, obviously number 10. I'd actually go with Smith Rowe on the left. The right, this is going to sound controversial, but all right, let's say if the Europa League final was next week, I'd go with Pepe, not Saka. Based on Pepe's...
Well, it's next week, okay.
Yeah, but then because Saka has hit a dip in form, and I would go for Pepe because he deserves a chance. Up front, although everything I've said about Aubameyang, etc., I'd go with Aubameyang because I know if I get one golden chance, I'll put my money on Aubameyang instead of Lacazette. So Pepe, Aubameyang, Smith Rowe, Odegaard.
Tanner?
Odegaard in behind Lacazette. I am going to go with Pepe on the right because I do feel like Pepe can provide the threat that Aubameyang provides. Not necessarily the result, but I think he can provide the threat that Aubameyang provides. And I'm going to go with Bukayo Saka on the left. I like the link-up play that he has with Kieran Tierney on that left-hand side. I think that makes us very dangerous, but I'm also thinking of 5 subs. So I have Auba on the bench. I can bring him on if need be, along with Emile Smith-Rowe, who can slot in on the left or in the middle. So I'm giving myself options, but the front four would be Lacazette with Saka on the left, Pepe on the right, and Martin Odegaard in behind.
All right, Glenn?
I'd bench Aubameyang. No, I'm kidding. I'd absolutely start Saka. I'd start Saka. Lacazette up front, Odegaard as the 10, and not Pepe, definitely not. Saka on the right and Aubameyang on the left, cutting in for goals. So since Tana referenced the WWE, just like the RKO, a goal can come from nowhere.
Anywhere, out of nowhere, baby. Out of nowhere.
Out of nowhere. So I'll definitely start Aubameyang because he's the guy that I trust to score us goals in a final. Absolutely.
All right. Who's next? Alukwe? You changed your name to Gregory.
Oh, yeah, that's my first name. Sorry.
Okay,
yeah,
Gregory, go ahead.
You actually got it right immediately the first time, which is crazy. So I would play Lacazette up front purely because he has a good record. Like you said, in case it's United, most likely opponent. I can't think of the last time he's failed to play well against them. Like generally, he has good games against United. I play Odegaard based on form because we need at least one number 10. And right now, it's him over Smith Rowe. Smith Rowe, very unlucky to miss out. I would play Saka on the right because it's Bukayo Saka. It's low booking. Like you can't drop him. I've got Nigerian bias, and like I said, I think that he combines very well with Odegaard in terms of build-up play. Like really, really, really good. He seems to have those. We like having those little partnerships and everything, and he can play well with both Bellerin and Cedric. And on the left, it has to be Pepe. I think that one thing that's a good part of his game, Tierney likes to overlap. Pepe likes to come inside. And I also think one very underrated aspect of Pepe's game is his finishing.
100%.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah. You can switch Pepe and Saka wings if we want to. And
Agents of chaos.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
Yeah, this is easy. This is so easy when you've got one man who can make the entire attack happen. Bukayo Saka, as the prayers have been answered for the Arsenal fans, we've been praying to get us out of this depression, out of the sadness that we've been suffering for many, many years. God said to us, here you go, Arsenal fans. Here's Bukayo Saka for you. So without a question, he'd start for me. Then in the number 10 position, you know, the man who we might be able to keep, the man who might actually win the game for us and sign that contract on the pitch side, Martin Odegaard, right? Do I have to say any more than him? Now, the left-hand side, the question that all Arsenal fans want to know. We can never predict what these lineups are going to bring, but for me, it has to be Nicola Pepe. The man is going to destroy that defense. Yeah, he's going to put every single one of them into a split. He's going to nutmeg 2 plays and score just like he did against Wolves. Yeah, easy for him. Yeah, I know his finishing ain't great, but he'll just score a 30-yard screamer. You know, that we can bet. And then up front, we've got to give him a farewell because I don't think he's signing, but we've got to let this man win us a Europa League. Alexander Lacazette to finish my strike force. I think that's the strike force that's going to win us a Europa League. And then do you know what you can do? Bring Aubameyang on just to surprise the team. Just be like, yeah, you thought this is it, mate. We're like 4-0 up. Yeah, here you go, Aubameyang. Go score your hat-trick, lad. Yeah, finish the game for us. That's
It's
what I
quite
would do.
interesting. A lot of you have put ESR on the bench.
Well, personally, I think that now I've seen Arteta kind of revert back to the Lacazette Aubameyang thing. I think in a Europa League final, when everything is on the line, he's going to revert back to his experienced players, which is his default, sometimes to his detriment, but he does not trust certain players. He doesn't trust Pepe. You know, he doesn't. I would not think that he would start a Europa League final. I wouldn't be surprised if you saw, like, I don't know, Willian on the left or something like that.
I knew you were going to say that.
But that's not who I would choose. I would choose Odegaard at the 10. Oh, go ahead. Go ahead before I go.
Last year, about Pepe, last year, everyone thought Saka was going to play the FA Cup final, and he's the one who got benched for Ainsley. So you never know of Arteta.
That's true. That's very true.
He's the answer of God, mate. He's the kid that no. I'll go punch Arteta myself if he doesn't play Saka.
Look. If you think on a normal day when we get the lineups, Arsenal Twitter shuts down. If we're in the Europa League final, it doesn't matter what the lineup is. Everybody's going to be upset by it, right? But I think if I had to choose, it would be Odegaard, Saka, Lacazette, and Aubameyang. I think you have to go with some experience, your best players. Saka is your best player. Odegaard is your best 10. As much as I love Smith Rowe, I think he's amazing. But I think he can also come off the bench if things don't go right. But you got to get Aubameyang on the field, but you can't start a Europa League final without a player that shows up for big games, and that's Lacazette for me. So that's not my favorite. You know, on a normal day, that's probably not what I would choose, but in a Europa League final, you got to get your big guns out there, and that just happens to be Aubameyang off of the left. As much as it doesn't please me, it's probably what would happen. So Aubameyang off of the left, Lacazette through the middle, Saka on the right, Odegaard in the 10 role. You guys, this has been awesome. I didn't know what this was going to be like. I was like, this could either go really, really good or really, really bad. And I'm glad it went well. It seems like the chat box loved it as well. So if you guys like that, let us know. I'm trying to make this more of like a regular occurrence. Obviously, we'll work the kinks out. We'll make sure it's a lot better, and I'll give it a better name. Call in. What the hell is that? Nobody's calling. Why is that the name of the show? It's so stupid. But yeah, thank you guys for everybody for being on. Anthony, Harry, who else was on? Gooner Express, Military Gooner, everybody that came on, and then obviously you guys that are here now. Thank you for showing your faces and being on the stream. Tomorrow I'm gonna have Same Old Arsenal collaboration with them at 7 p.m. UK time. Craig, Lee Judges, and Dan Potts will be on the show, so look out for that. And yeah, let's just get through this international break together. I will see you guys on the next one. If you guys actually, before we leave, everybody give your plug for your channel. Glenn, go ahead and go first.
Okay, so if you just search for Everything Arsenal on YouTube, it will pop up. Thank you for having me, man.
No problem. Souls?
Yeah, you can find me at Gouda Souls at Leicester Bay Footy. Again, Jess, thank you very much for having me. And actually now you will find me on a lot of the shows with Tanner. I am now a permanent panelist, so which is brilliant. Me and Tanner have been speaking about it for a while, and yeah, always love the laughs before the games.
Gregory, do you want to tell everybody where they can find you? Are you muted?
Unmute, Gregory.
Hold on.
Yeah.
Hold on.
Right. I don't have anything special. I'm literally just a fan of the Twitter account. And I don't really want to have anything special. I just did this because I'm camera shy and I wanted to push myself out my comfort zone. But yeah, you can follow me on Twitter. It's
you
right.
Did good.
Yeah,
you did
man.
Good. Everybody
did great. Great job today.
Thank
Great
you for
job.
coming on. Tino, do you have anything special, or are you just another fan that just wanted to come on?
I've got a channel which I'm starting. It's called Chit Chat Sports on Twitter, but then it's building, so I wouldn't say follow it yet. But soon I'll have content coming out and analysis. So just thought I'd come here for the first time.
You were awesome. Thank you so much for coming on. You guys like the video, subscribe to both me and Tanner's channels, She Knows Arsenal and BG Media, and we'll see you guys on the next one. Bye, everyone.
All right, see ya. Thank you.